Today, I'm replacing a water heater. I'm gonna take you along with me so that if you ever need to do it, you know how to do it too. So get your plumbing tools and let's get her done. So most of the time, you'll turn the power off to your water heater at a breaker. In this case, for some reason, it's hooked up to a disconnect. This is usually what you'll see on an AC unit. But they have it on a water heater, but power's dead now. That's the important thing. That last step there only applies if you have an electric water heater. If you have a gas water heater, you'll turn off the gas valve to kill the gas to it because it doesn't have any power going to it. So now you got the power off. The next thing you want to do is you want to turn off the water. Sometimes there's multiple water valves above the water heater. You could probably just shut them all off, but the one you really need is on the cold water side, which is usually the right side. This one's indicated by a blue ring, and it's right above that. It's where the water goes into the water heater at. And you shut that water off, that kills all the water going into the water heater. You could also kill the main water if you really wanted to. As long as you don't have any water coming out of these pipes going into the water heater, you'll be fine. I got this one right here. It cuts off the water going into the water heater. I'm gonna be adding one to this side because even though I've got the hot water turned off to the water heater, the cold water can still flow. And I don't want nobody to turn the cold water on while I got the water heater unhooked. So I'm gonna grab a shut off, and as soon as I cut that line, I'm adding that shut off right away so that I'm not gonna get soaked. I had a shower this morning. I don't need another bath while I'm here working on this thing. At the bottom of your water heater, you're gonna find a water spigot. You wanna find a garden hose and hook to the spigot. So after you hook that hose up, you want to keep it as low as possible. Well, you don't want to go up into a sink or it won't drain all the way. In my case, the hose is kind of overkill. I could have probably used the washing machine supply line. I'm going from right there, and I got all this hose, and I'm taking advantage of that floor drain right there. All right, so once you got your hose hooked up and ran, you turn this on. Okay, I don't hear nothing dripping. But you gotta open up a valve. You gotta let air into the system so that water can get out of the system. It's kind of like when you put your thumb over a straw and you pull the straw up, it'll hold the water. Same concept. So what you can do is, right here, your pop-off valve, pressure relief valve, PRV, whatever you want to call it, open it up slowly. What that'll do, instead of letting water out of that line, you should let air into the line and let it go out the hose. So while that's draining, now is the perfect opportunity to cut your tubing. That'll also allow more air into the system, which might let it drain faster, but you got to cut them anyway because the water heater's got to come out of there, so you got to cut the pipes holding them in place. I'm going to be using this here. It's probably the cheapest tubing cutter you can get. I think I got it at Harbor Freight, but I like this small one because it fits into tiny places, unlike the big ones. And if I were to spend money to get the ones that are just the C and snap on, they do get lost or stolen. So I just buy this little cheap one, and if I lose it, I just go buy another one. It's fine. If you're a homeowner that is not going to be using it very much, this might be all you need. So that's what I'm going to be using. I'm going to cut these pipes loose, and I'll show you when I'm done. So you just give it a couple of turns and tighten. Give it a couple of turns, tighten. Give it a couple of turns, and tighten. And you just repeat that until you're all the way through. There we are. We're all the way through. Now, I'm gonna slide this. Wow. I'm gonna slide this tank out of the way. We get a piece of this here. I'm going to clean up the copper here. A little bit. And then I'm going to put my shut off up on there. And turn it off. So at this point we've got all the plumbing disconnected. I moved this shut off up a little higher than that one. I just wanted to give myself a little extra room, to work with, on at least on that side. This shut off here, it's been soldered in place and it's not broken. It seems to be working fine, so I'm gonna not mess with it. Plumbing is unhooked. Now we've got to get this electrical unhooked, and I'm also going to unhook this here copper for the pop-off valve, because if my other pop-off valve is on the top, I'm going to reuse this. And hell, I might even reuse it if it's on the side. I don't know. We'll have to see when we get to that point. Like I said earlier, we're working on the electrical part, so you want to verify once again the power's off. It is, because I removed this. I probably should have flipped it over and put it back in the off position, because that's what fell a while ago. But anyways, you want to take this little cover off right here, because that's what hides all of the wiring underneath. Alright, once you get to your wiring, it looks simple. The black is to the black, the red is to the red. I'm going to remove the wire nuts, and I'm going to remove the liquid tie here. I'm going to pull my wires out and it'll be unhooked. So I also forgot to mention that there's also a ground wire. It was on a screw that was just attached right here. So I undid the ground wire. I pulled my wires out. And just because I'm not going to be on site for a few minutes, I'm going to go ahead and put the wire nuts on here in case somebody's in here monkeying around that it shouldn't be. So I'm gonna go get the new water heater and I'll be back. I think we actually are replacing this 30 gallon with a 40 gallon just because that's what we have on hand. Alright, I'm saving the copper line for the pop-off valve. Had to get it out of the closet so I could unscrew the thing. So when you're putting on your Teflon tape, now that I've got the new water heater in, I've got to Teflon tape these threads. There's a certain way you put Teflon tape on. Think about it, if you're going to screw something down on here, you'd screw it on this way. Righty-tighty. So that's the way you want to go with your Teflon tape as well. Once your Teflon tape is on, you can go ahead and start connecting your lines. On the other end of this one, this flex line, I got a female end here, I've got a female end there, and that ain't gonna work. So I've got this piece of copper here to go in between the two to hold those together. So on the other side, I got an adapter that screws on the top of this, and then it's a shark bite on the other end, so the metal just pushes down in there and it attaches, and that's it. So now the plumbing is hooked up. Now we can go and work on our electrical. So first thing you want to do with the electrical, read your safety warnings and pull them off, get them out of the way. And now this looks like 2 Phillips screws I need to take out. So when you get that cover off, you're going to find your black wire and your red wire. Up under there is the ground wire to the water heater already grounded. And with that plate that you removed, you want to slide your liquid tight through or conduit, whatever you're working with, through the hole there and attach it. So I used to work for a company that you had to send in safety pictures every week. It was mandatory. And they would go through those pictures and they would pick the best one that they liked. You know, the safety office liked it, and that person would get $50, right? So I went to a water heater call once. It had nothing to do with the electrical. It had something to do with plumbing or something, and I didn't have to mess with the electrical. but I reached up to turn the water off, and when I did, my elbow hit the wire that I was talking about that I'm working on hooking up now, and all of a sudden it popped. It tripped the breaker, freaked me out. I might have peed a little bit. But what happened was the person didn't put a relief clamp, a Romex connector on the water heater to hold the cable, and the wire had over time got a split in it, and whenever I touched it, that was the last straw, and it arced against the water heater. So make sure you hook your wiring up correctly, because if you don't, the maintenance man who comes to fix it might get $50. All right, so red to red makes sense. Black to black makes sense. But then there's this little guy. Where's he go? He goes on this green screw right here. Green is ground. So I'm gonna hook that up and I'll be right back. Okay, so the wiring's all hooked up now. How cool is that? I hooked up the ground wire, and then I put these two screws back in place. Liquid-Tight's held down, or your Romex connector, whatever you have right here. And I've got the plumbing hooked up, so now let's crank this water on slowly as we check for leaks. Look at that. So far, so good. Oops. I'm going to have to tighten that packing nut. But one thing that helps is turn on a faucet, because you want the air to get out of the lines. So I'm going to go do that now. When you turn on the faucet, turn it on hot water. You're going to have some water come out. It's not going to be high pressure, but then you'll get that noise. That's air coming out of the line, and it's perfectly fine, perfectly normal. Once the air gets out of the line and starts squishing water out, that's when you know you got it all back together. Also, the stuff coming out may be discolored. It's okay. It'll clear up. Okay, so now we got our plumbing hooked up. We've checked for leaks. We're good there. We've got our power hooked up. Water tank is full. Always fill the water heater before you turn the water back on. If not, you could burn up your elements and then be repairing the water heater you just installed. So now the only thing to do is turn the power on and get this sucker working. But there is one more thing we didn't do. Can you guess what it is? The pop-off valve. We didn't plumb in the pop-off valve. But here's why. If I took the one off the old water heater and I put it up against there. Look at that. We're coming up short. Let me get it in focus there. Yeah, we're coming up a little short. Just a hair. So, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this, and I'm gonna put a shark bite right in the middle, just a coupling. That should extend it enough where I can screw that on there, and since shark bites will allow you to turn it, I shouldn't need to take it out in the hallway to put it on. I got a couple of disclaimers about this video too. In this video I used shark bite fittings. The reason I used shark bite fittings is because this video is for your average homeowner who doesn't have an expensive pro press at the house. They don't have the skills to solder the joints. Shark bites may not be the best permanent solution, but if it's in an application like this on a water heater where you can check on the pipes once in a while, make sure there ain't any leaks, and if you do see a leak you can easily replace the shark bite, I think they're okay. You know, but if you have the skills to solder, I think soldering's the best. Pro press is also a good option if you've got that tool, but a lot of us don't have the money to get a pro press, and not everybody has the skill to solder. So, you know, use shark bites. It's a good alternative to those other solutions. Whew. Okay, so we're all done here. Water heater's installed. I just checked a minute ago. We got hot water. We have no leaks. Everything is good to go. But I got a mess to clean up. I gotta go clean that up. But if you want any more DIY advice and how-to videos like this, stick around. Check another one out. You might learn something. And who knows, you might need that information one day. So, guess I'll see you in the next one.